In the post-COVID world of business and marketing, there's only one question that matters. What's sizzling? Welcome to What's Sizzling, the podcast that discusses current business and marketing strategies, regardless of the size of your company or industry. We have new guest stars each episode that talk about their business and reaching out to their target market in their vertical. And what do they do to overcome their challenges? I'm your host, Mitch Levinson, founder and thought leader of Creative Sizzle. Also with me is Lauren Pond, our SEO specialist and office manager. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Mitch.
I'm glad you're here as always. And, we got a great show today. I'm pretty excited about the guest star we have today, Laura Georgieva with Destination College. I'm going to call her Laura G from this point forward. What she does is awesome, helping high school kids and high school families navigate the process of applying for colleges and applying for FAFSA and going through everything that they need to do to take that next step because it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are going through that right now with your son Theo. I'm going through it with Jacob, and I am completely overwhelmed with what I need to do and learn. And there's just so much, and I know Jacob's overwhelmed. So this comes just at the right time when things for kids are looking to start this process.
And Laura is very knowledgeable about the entire process. And she's an author on a book that'll help the process. And we're going to talk about that, in a little bit. Lauren, for our listeners out there today, tell me what you first thought and your first experience and impression was when you met Laura for the first time.
When I first met her, it was nice to listen to her kind of start telling me a little bit about the process. I'm very nervous about it and very overwhelmed, and I like to have control of something. And she just made me feel a little bit better about it, that it will be okay, that there's the process and it's a smooth flowing process. And she makes it so it's easier and better for the parents and the students and the kids. She even told us that when they're all done, they're kind of like, that's it. That made me feel better that I will get through this.
Yeah, you're not alone. Everyone wrestles with it. With they got kids that are in high school, and when is the right time to start thinking about applying for colleges, and what colleges should you apply for, and when do you apply for it, and when do you apply for FAFSA, and what documents do you need, and how do you go through that? It seems like a lot, but Laura's got some great tips and tricks to make the entire process a lot easier, especially on the kids, because let's face it, as parents of those kids, we've been dealing with stress and pressure of life our entire lives, and with our kids, we want them to start their life, start their career, start their adult life with an idea that they're going to get through everything, no matter what challenges they might face and what pressures they might have and what hurdles they might come up to. And, this very first one in their adult life after high school is, where am I going to go to college? What am I going to do after high school? How do I go through the process of getting the help I need to accomplish a goal? Because most people don't accomplish goals by themselves. Sometimes they do, but a lot of people, they have helpers, they have coaches, they have resources on their team. Even the best athletes have coaches that help them go through the process. And, I really like that Laura helps parents, kids, and families go through the process, because I tell you what, I wish I had someone like her when we did it the first time with Josh, my oldest, and with Theo, this is, it's my fourth time going through it. And, it changes each time. It's a similar process, but, all my kids are different. So the entire process is unique to each situation. So I wish I had someone like Laura to go through that when I first started.
I'm right there with you. I went through it with my daughter, and it was just overwhelming, and it was just too much. I couldn't wait for it to be done.
Yeah. And so if you have a kid that's in high school or even middle school at this point, and you're getting ready to start thinking about college, today's episode of What's Sizzling is perfect for you. So stay tuned. And when we get back from the break, we're going to be back with Laura G with Destination College. ChicagoRealEstateForum.com is a place where Chicagoans and people that live in the 7 county surrounding areas go to get their real estate information. ChicagoRealEstateForum.com is a great way to see available listings, find information about the area, all on the same website. You can also get connected to real estate professionals that know the area and can help with all of your real estate needs. Visit ChicagoRealEstateForum.com to learn more.
This episode of Creative Sizzle is brought to you by The Gym. Instead of building up your muscle, we want to help you build up your brand. Come to us for the best and latest in marketing innovations. And now, back to What's Sizzling podcast.
Welcome back to this episode of What's Sizzling, the podcast that covers all things business and marketing. With me today, Laura G with Destination College. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mitch.
Being a consultant and helping students and families, high school students and families navigate the process of applying for colleges and set a direction for their future and all that is a kind of an interesting area. What got you into that business? How did you get your start?
I was actually a financial planner, and I am a huge fan of education myself. And during one of the advanced planning seminars that I was attending, they described more about financial aid, scholarships, and admission planning. And at that point, I realized that I actually didn't know anything about college planning when I was opening 529 plans for people. And I decided to get my certification. When I got my certification, I was the 11th college planner in Illinois. So that quickly turned into a business. And I left the financial planning and concentrated primarily on the college planning. So I've been doing college planning for almost 11 years.
That's great. And, it's definitely a process that people, they need help with. It's a daunting task. It's certainly overwhelming, but again, it's just a process that everyone or a lot of people have to go through. And, having someone like you to help them navigate the process is certainly awesome. And you were the recipient in 2017 of the Influential Women in Business Award, recognized by a local congressman. And you are also the co-author of a book, Let's Talk About Money, and an author of another book, College Planning. You've had a lot of experience in financial services and writing books to help people prepare for their future. We're going to talk a little bit about your book about college planning here in a little bit. And at the end, we're going to talk about how you can get a copy of that book. Tell me a little bit about the tips that you would give to people who are going through it. Like Lauren said initially, she and I have high school seniors and, we're knee deep in the process. What kind of college planning tips would you give to people who have middle school or freshman and sophomore in high school? What kind of advice would you give to them just to get started?
Sure. So let me tell you what's sizzling with college planning. I will share a couple mistakes that people usually make and students usually make that, I see over the years of my experience. So first one is most of the kids that I work with, they really don't know what major they want to study. And why is that important? Because when they apply to college and when they know the major, they actually can receive scholarships for their academics, and they can also receive a scholarship from that particular department where they're applying. So I have an excellent tool, which is different than the Naviance major assessment test that they use to help them determine what is their passion. What is their passion that will make them money? Let's put it this way, because we talk about their passion, but we also talk about the money that they will be making after. Then it's very important for the kids to have volunteering and leadership experience. So I help the kids also find those opportunities within the high school or outside of high school. And a lot of parents and students are under the impression that, they need to be, well-rounded and, do music and sports and theater and, other activities. And that's not true anymore. They need to show the college their interest on steroids. So for example, if they want to study engineering, they can sign up for a class, Project Lead the Way. They can also participate in robotics team. They can participate in different summer camps in the summer to show their interest in that field. Also, common mistake that I find, especially now in COVID days, is kids don't take the ACT or SAT, the test to apply for college, because most colleges are test optional right now. And even parents argue with me. They're like, stop stressing out my child because, they don't want to take the test. All of the universities are test optional. Well, guess what? I was actually trying to help a student who was admitted at Florida Gulf Coast this year. She's on the cheer team. Her GPA was 4.3 and she didn't receive a dime from the university because Florida schools want ACT or SAT score. So I know it's a stressful time, to take the test, but it will pay off eventually if your kids take the test. And if they take it 3 times, every time when they retake the test, their score should increase. ACT and SAT fees can be waived also if the parents make lower income. And another mistake that students make is not applying to enough schools. So for example, if they apply to on average 10 different schools, they can compare the offers, and I purposely make them apply to one school that would give them significant amount of money so we can negotiate the cost for college. So I will repeat it again, negotiate.
That's interesting. You brought up a couple of points, and the 3 good points you gave there. I want to go back to the first one and we'll talk about each of them, but the negotiating one is really important. I've done that and learned that with my kids. Let's come back to that. The first one, you said the students don't always know what they want to do, what they want to be when they grow up. A lot of adults don't know what they want to do or what they want to be when they grow up. And it's also not uncommon for kids in college to change their major or change their interest or something like that. But what you said was, and I want to make sure I understand it, when you work with someone like you have an assessment test. And I know that all the kids take assessment tests like this in school, but they have a school counselor working with them about what it really means. When they work with you and you look at the assessment with them and you understand what their passion is, you look at it more from a standpoint of how they're going to be successful and not just how you're going to graduate high school. So, that assessment, even though it may or may not be what they are going to end up doing for the rest of their lives, it certainly gives them an advantage when you work with them to kind of show where their interests lie and how that relates to what their career might be and where they're going to make money. So, I think that's important to understand that giving them that kind of baseline, that benchmark, that foundation of what they like and how what they like will translate to a career and not just a job after college. I think that's important and that's good. So talk a little bit about that assessment that you talked about.
Yeah, to tell you honestly, when I start working with students in the beginning, they're like so stressed out because they have the pressure of selecting the right major. Oh my gosh, college is expensive. I don't want to be a burden to my parents. And at the end of the meeting, when we define the career choice, they're relieved. They're happy, they're smiling, they know exactly what they want to do, and they know how much money they're going to make after they graduate, because that's important. So besides just taking the major assessment test, we look at the results, we look at the job availability, if they're going to be able to find a job after they graduate. We look at long-term goals, like do they need to go to graduate school? Do they need to do any other professional development to be successful in that field? So we kind of define the career, in the next 10 years with what they're going to do.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. Let's get back to the third one about the, ACT tests and negotiating, the ACT, SATs. When I first heard that through COVID, schools were, making that optional, I thought it was going to be more of a, they would only look at the optional kids as a secondary to those that actually took the test and actually put a grade in. It doesn't matter what score you have. It kind of assesses your ability to not only take tests, but where you are educationally. Talk a little bit about the desire for people to not take the test or take the test, and then what that means in terms of, negotiating what it would cost to go to school. Because, a lot of people, I didn't know it to begin with, and I kind of learned it along the way, that there are academic scholarships and grants that you can get, and most people just accept what they're offered. But just like everything else, once they make an offer, you can take it, you can negotiate it, they may or may not adjust it. So talk a little bit about negotiating with a college once you got that offer.
So I'll give you an example with the scores, that we just talk about being optional, and then also negotiating just the financial piece. So I already shared the story with you about the Florida student that didn't receive any scholarship. So another story with a student who was admitted at Iowa State University. So his ACT was about 24, and after he received the financial aid offer, the parents were asking me, well, how can he get more scholarship money? And I said, well, he can retake the ACT. And they said, well, how can he retake it when he was already admitted? They gave him the offer, and I said he can retake it even after. And if he shows higher ACT, they would adjust his scholarship amount. So that's what he did. He scored 27, and he has free tuition right now from Iowa State University. He's going there with engineering major. But what I wanted to pinpoint is that students can retake the test even after they've been admitted, even after they've been awarded scholarships, just to boost their scholarship amount.
And I just want to point out, my son went to Iowa. They're a rival of Iowa State. So we're going to talk only Hawkeyes. And no Cyclones here on this podcast. So different examples in the future. No, I'm just kidding.
To answer your question about the financial negotiation. So another example that I will give, because I like to tell stories. A student of mine approached me to negotiate her cost with Johns Hopkins. So when they approached me, her parents were making $150,000, barely any money in retirement. And, they were just stressed out about paying for college because they were literally going to retire in like 3 years. So when they came to my office, I said, I don't know if I can help you guys because, you don't have any change of circumstances. So I can try, but, let's see what we can do. After a month of negotiating with the director of financial aid, they gave the students $7,000 more per year. So that's $28,000 over 4 years. And the parents came to my office, they wanted to celebrate. And I said, stop, this is not enough. So what I wanted them to do is send an email to Michael Bloomberg. He was actually a candidate for president at that time. But to send an email to Michael Bloomberg and tell him that his $6 billion donation that he donated to Johns Hopkins was not going for the purposes that he intended to use it for. So he wanted to help low and middle income families to overcome the financial barrier to send their kids to Johns Hopkins. And this was pretty much listed all over the internet, that they guarantee they're no loan university and they would fund, the students' education. And also it was conveyed to the student and the parents that the bill is not going to be as significant as over $50,000 a year. A day later, after they sent the email, her full tuition was paid for, and that including 4 years. So, that is actually what we celebrated, because we have really appreciated the extra $7,000 that the financial aid office gave her, but receiving additional $50,000, that was a big deal. And this is pretty much what I feel passionate about, advocating for the students and the parents when they feel hopeless, when, they need direction, when they need somebody, to stand up for themselves. And that's what I feel passionate about.
Yeah. And, I think the story you just told is exactly why everyone needs to call you when they're looking for support or help navigating the process, because who would have thought about sending an email to anyone outside of the school to get some more support for their students? You pay attention to the industry that you're in, and you know what's out there right now from a political, from an industrial, from an educational standpoint. And only an expert like you would be able to have helped them in that way. And I think that's important. And that's the other reason that people should buy your book. Right now, you have a book that is Why Others Don't Tell You About College Planning, and you are the author of that book. How can someone get your book? I know it's for sale right now. I think you said it was like $30, something like that. So tell me how someone can buy. Tell me how someone can buy your book.
They can go to my website, which is destination-college.org, and they can buy the book, or they can send me an email to Laura, Lora, at destinationcollege.info.
Great. And if someone, Laura, is interested in talking to you about consulting and working with you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
They can either call me at 224-619-2173, or they can email me at Laura, Lora, at destinationcollege.info.
Yeah, so I think that's great. So for all of you parents out there that are listening and you have high school students and you're getting ready to go through navigate the process, you should at least reach out to Laura to have a 30-minute call with her to see if she can help you and what are the best ways for her to help you, and see if she can help you find out where to get some more money for scholarships or grants, and also, what the right timeline is for applying and all those things that she can help you with. And, this is obviously the busy season right now for her because we're knee deep in getting ready to have students start applying, and early applications are due by like November 1st or something like that. So definitely get in contact with Laura. Laura, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. You dropped some knowledge on us, and we appreciate it. And we're looking forward to having a lot of our listeners give you a call to talk about college and helping their kids go to college.
Thank you, Mitch.
When we're back, Lauren and I will share with you some cool information about Laura and the college process. So stay tuned. Are you having credit problems, or are you looking for someone to help you improve your credit score? Contact John Wilkinson with creditsolutionproblems.org. John is very versed and understands exactly what needs to be done in order to improve your credit score, get your credit back in line, and if you are looking to help people after the pandemic get back on track, John would be willing to work with you and your donation so that you can help those that really need it. Visit creditproblemsolved.org or call 866-850-9360. This episode is brought to you by drones. Drones fly high above everything else and capture everything below. It's like that strategy that you didn't know you needed, 30,000 feet above your target market, and drones fly to make sure they capture it all. And luckily for us, we have a licensed drone pilot on staff. So if you're looking for a high-level overview to capture leads, look no further than CreativeSizzle.com. And now let's get back to What's Sizzling. Welcome back to the What's Sizzling podcast. And Lauren, what'd you think about that episode with Laura? She really knows what she's talking about and can help a lot of people navigate through the college application process.
Yeah, I actually took a lot of notes during the podcast, a lot of great information, things I did not know, such as negotiating the financial piece. I did not know that. I thought you just accepted what they gave you and that was that. So a lot of great knowledge.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like you with that negotiating. They forget that education is a business and they're there to make money. They want to educate the student and maybe they got into it for the right reason. But at the end of the day, if people aren't paying tuition, they're not making any money. So like insurance companies, their job is to pay out as little as possible. So the more you ask for, the better chance you are of getting some of it. You got to kind of be a little bit of that squeaky wheel in a nice and a polite way. But yeah, I think that's awesome. So during the break, Lauren and I were talking about offering an incentive. So for those of you that are listening and you're interested in contacting Laura, go ahead and do that. You're going to want to, because if you contact her for a free consultation and you mention this podcast, she's going to give you that book for free. So you're not only going to get 30 minutes with her and talking about it, but you're going to get that book talking about the tips that you need to help you navigate the entire process for college planning. So I definitely think you all should take care of that and have a conversation with her. So to get in touch with Laura G at Destination College, you would call 224-619-2173, or that's Laura at destinationcollege.info. If you have a student that is getting ready to start navigating the process, I would give her a call. I would schedule a consultation, and at least I would read that book or purchase it from her directly, because it'll help you save not only a lot of money, but a ton of time. And even more importantly than that, relieve some of the stress that you might feel or that your student might feel about going away to college and being on their own for the first time.
Yeah, just even meeting with her made me feel a little better about knowing what the process is and what the steps I need to make and what I need to do.
I know, even going through it for the fourth time, I'm thinking maybe that she and I are going to have a conversation about what we need to do for Theo, because that's definitely important. And if we can get him playing baseball and at a place where it doesn't cost very much, or we get a little extra negotiating, that'd be awesome.
Right there with you, Mitch. I think I need to have a meeting too.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thank you for joining us this week on another episode of What's Sizzling. Each week, we talk about what's new in business and marketing. We're together with our special guest stars. We share our thoughts on specific tactics and stories that will help you in your business or personal life. Make sure to tune in every Monday to learn what's sizzling in marketing, and head over to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps out the show. If you'd like more information about today's guest, being a guest yourself, or if you need marketing support, head on over to creativesizzle.com/what'ssizzling and you'll get more information. Thanks again. And I'm Mitch Levinson.
And I'm Lauren Pond.
And we'll see you next time.